Hey, I'd like to talk about minimalism. Minimalism in photography, is it any good and what does it mean for me? And I'd like to define minimalism using 3 different concepts. The first one is a clear idea. What to photograph, how to photograph it. And the second one is a clean composition that serves this idea. And then the third one is no distractions. So then, no distractions, a clean composition serves this clear idea in a photograph. The whole concept of minimalism in photography was introduced already in the 30s and 40s when early pioneers like Edward Weston and André Kertész started to photograph really simple and clean subjects and really created the language for minimalism. After the war, 40s and 50s, this minimalistic movement in art and in architecture further influenced photography. Photographers like Aaron Siskind and Minor White worked on negative space and graphical elements. And then in the 50s, going to 60s, photographers like Bernd and Hilla Petcher pushed minimalism even further and used it in industrial and documentary photography. And then Robert Adams, Michael Kenna, Hiroshi Sugimoto that we met in our last episode pushed the minimalism to the contemporary era where we can actually think that minimalism is one of the mainstream ways of creating photographs. Negative space, clean composition, clear subjects. So me personally, I'm moving more and more towards minimalistic expression in my own photography. And it has happened without me explicitly wanting to go there or thinking about it. It's just something that's happening. So I thought, let me try to think, why is it happening and what's important for me in minimalistic photography, and I made some notes. So for me there are 2 extremes. What do I include into my photos and what do I exclude? And it's the consideration of exclusion and inclusion that goes through my mind when I'm creating my minimalistic photographs. So let's start with what not to include. I mean, we are talking about minimalism after all. I work really hard when composing a picture to get rid of stuff. And for me, the major consideration and major struggle is to remove stuff that I feel do not belong into my picture. When I'm taking pictures, when I'm composing my pictures, I see myself as a sculptor, not as a painter. You know, painter adds things on canvas, adds color, shapes on canvas. But a sculptor takes a boulder and chisels material until the final product is revealed. It's a work of extraction, exclusion. Painter adds things, a sculptor removes things. So if Mona Lisa was created by Leonardo da Vinci when he added stuff, then David was created by Michelangelo by removing Carrara marble. So in this story, I'm your Michelangelo. So my hard work is that of exclusion, extraction, removing stuff. So what do I then want to include? So first of all, it all starts from the idea. I need to have an idea, very strong and clean idea before I even want to start. And then I want to include a context. That is important for me in my work, that The subject is hardly ever enough, but there needs to be a context. A context is something that tells you about the surroundings, about the situation. It can be about the weather, about the landscape, about the time of the year, anything that puts this subject into a larger context. Let me show you 2 examples. Now, here's a picture that is without a context. And here is almost the same image, but now with the context. And to me, that image without the context, I wouldn't necessarily even call that a photograph. Now, this is just me talking, this is no universal truth, but this is closer to graphics. And a photograph needs to have more than just a few lines and graphical shapes. That's how I think about it. So I want to have an idea, I want to have a context, and then I want to create a space and time into my photograph. I do that by things like adding 3-dimensionality, movement, working with light, and having different shades of light within my minimalistic photographs. And then finally, I want to print and frame my minimalistic photographs in a minimalistic way. Now, I also have a lot of challenges when I'm shooting minimalistic. Sometimes I feel my minimalistic photos are cold. They lack a human touch or closeness to the viewer. And then I'm thinking, context can help, but also finding subjects that are meaningful, first for myself, but also to my viewers. Sometimes I also feel like I can push minimalistic photography towards trickery. It becomes a circus act. It's something that I just want to show you, hey, look how clever I am. I saw that thingy. And when that happens, it leaves everybody cold. And then last, maybe the least, is that a minimalistic photograph is easily not noticed. It doesn't shout, it doesn't have strong, powerful elements. So in the middle of everything else that's happening in our life, it gets easily unnoticed. Hey, listen, I hope this wasn't too preachy. I don't want to preach. I don't have that authority or that need. But this is just my process. This is how I approach photography. First of all, I want to understand the history. That's very important to me. I see that in my minuscule part, I'm part of the continuation of photographers, and I want to position myself to things that had happened and great photographers before me. The second one is that I want to understand what I'm doing, and if I just go there and haphazardly shoot and wait for accidents to happen, I can't improve. I don't have any kind of mental structure or theory where I could attach my experiments. So that's why I need to think about it. I need to form a strategy for myself. It's just the way I do not only photography but other things too. And then when I'm looking at the photograph of other people, I want to understand why I like this or I don't like that one. And then I can gravitate towards the things that I like. I can learn. Once again, without any kind of theory and structure in your mind, it's almost impossible to learn. So I'm doing this all for myself, and I truly apologize if I came across a bit preachy this time. You might have a totally different strategy for your work. You might shoot just for fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or you might not be interested in minimalistic photography at all, or whatever is your cup of tea. And whatever that is, thank you so much for joining. I hope you got something out of it. Next time, something else.